We all know or at least recognize big celebrities like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Terry Crews, and Carl Weathers from their famous roles on screen. And clearly, these celebrities are well known because they made it to the top of the entertainment world. Obviously, they're very talented at what they do, but in the highly competitive environment of show business, you need to have the mental toughness to face rejection while still working constantly to improve your skill set if you want to make it all the way. For some, this is an impossible task. But if you've already grinded your way to the top of a different, equally as difficult field, you're no stranger to hard work and devotion to your craft. While the NFL is very different from the entertainment industry, it too requires a combination of mental fortitude, natural talent, and a relentless work ethic if you want to make it in the league. Today, I'll be talking about the few people that not only managed to work their way into a pro football league, but who then turned their sights from the gridiron to the stage and blazed far more successful careers. So get set, because this is a list of famous celebrities who also played professional football. To start off the list, I'll discuss somebody that we're all familiar with, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I think most people know that The Rock played at the University of Miami from 1991 to 1995, and in that time, he even earned a national championship ring in 1991. In 39 games played, he had 77 career tackles with 4.5 sacks. But unfortunately for The Rock, he was a backup to future NFL Hall of Famer Warren Sapp, and this not only affected his playtime, but also his visibility to NFL scouts. So after Johnson's time in Miami was done, it's no surprise he wasn't drafted, but he never even got a tryout with an NFL team. However, the CFL did come calling. Johnson was signed by the Calgary Stampeders in 1996, but unfortunately, he was cut by the team at the end of training camp, and his dreams of playing professional football came to an end. Terry Crews has become one of the more recognizable faces in Hollywood after starring in hit TV shows like Everybody Hates Chris and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But before he rose to fame in Hollywood, Cruz used his size and strength to make a name for himself on the football field. Cruz earned a scholarship to attend Western Michigan, but not for football, actually for his artistic prowess. He then walked onto the football team and eventually earned an athletic scholarship. While playing for the Broncos, Cruz helped the program to win their first ever conference title in 1988. He was later selected in the 11th round of the NFL draft in 1991 by the Rams, where he began his up-and-down NFL career. From 1991 to 1996, Cruz spent time on 5 different NFL rosters: the Rams, Packers, Chargers, Redskins, and Eagles, where he primarily played as a backup and special teamer. Carl Weathers is most famous for the roles he played as Apollo Creed in Rocky and Chubbs in Happy Gilmore, but Carl Weathers' talents far exceed the big screen. Before his rise in Hollywood, Carl Weathers starred as a linebacker at Long Beach Community College. He then earned a scholarship to play at San Diego State, and after 2 seasons with the Aztecs, he even signed with the Raiders and played 2 years in the NFL from 1971 to 1972. But when Weathers' NFL career came to an end, he still had more juice left in the tank, and he then signed with the BC Lions of the CFL, where he played for 3 seasons. Today, Sam Hunt is known as a country music star, but before he was selling out stadiums as a performer, he was playing in them as a Division I quarterback. Initially, Hunt earned a scholarship to play at Middle Tennessee State. However, after 2 seasons, he transferred and joined UAB, where he started for 2 years. UAB wasn't the greatest team in the world, and Hunt put up okay numbers, throwing for around 2,600 yards with only 10 TDs to 14 interceptions, and around 450 rushing yards and 3 TDs on the ground. Despite these numbers, his natural talent did catch the attention of some NFL scouts, and he even had a tryout with the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, he didn't make the final roster, and his dreams of playing pro football came to an end, so he then went on to chase his new dream in the music industry. Ed O'Neill has had a long career on screen, and he's best known for his roles in Modern Family and Married with Children. But O'Neill was once known for his abilities on the football field. He spent 2 years at Ohio University, where he played D-line, but later moved on to Youngstown State for his final 2 years of college. I couldn't find any official stats from O'Neill's time at Youngstown State, but he must have done pretty well because following graduation, he was signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers as an undrafted free agent in 1969. But unfortunately for O'Neill, he was battling for a spot against 2 other rookies, future Hall of Famer Joe Green and Steelers legend L.C. Greenwood. And to no surprise, O'Neill was let go from the team following the preseason. John David Washington isn't just Denzel Washington's son. He's a great actor in his own right. and he's most recognizable for his roles in the hit show Ballers and The Black Klansman, where he starred alongside Dwayne Johnson and Adam Driver, respectively. He's made a name for himself in Hollywood, but before following in his father's footsteps, John David blazed his own path as a football star. Despite being an All-American running back in high school, he turned down Division I offers to play at a Division II HBCU called Morehouse College, and by the end of his college career, he was a Morehouse legend. As a senior, he set a school record for rushing yards in a season with over 1,200, and he was named first-team All-Conference. And when his time at Morehouse came to an end, he also held school records for most career rushing yards with 3,700 and most rushing yards in a single game with 242. Although he played Division II, his successful college career garnered some NFL attention, and he was signed by the Rams. Unfortunately, he didn't make the final roster, but he was signed to the practice squad where he stayed for 2 years before being sent to NFL Europe. He then had a brief stint with the Saints, but after being unable to make that roster, he then joined the United Football League with the California Redwoods and Sacramento Mountain Lions, where he even played alongside former Pro Bowl quarterback Dante Culpepper. He was even named the league's Player of the Week in his first game with the team, but the league eventually folded, and he then had one final tryout with the New York Giants, but after suffering a knee injury, his career ultimately came to an end. Dean Kane, who's most recognizable for his role as Superman, looked like a real-life Superman while starring at defensive back for Princeton University. As a senior in 1987, he set a school record for most interceptions in a season, totaling 12 picks in just 10 games. While in college, Kane didn't see much team success, with Princeton going about 500 or less each year he was there, but he did see a lot of individual success. In 30 career games played, Kane totaled 22 interceptions, and his collegiate success even led to an NFL tryout with the Buffalo Bills, but a knee injury during training camp put his football dreams to an end. Ed Marinro is most known today for his iconic role of legendary college football coach Marty Daniels in the hit TV show Blue Mountain State. But Marinro was actually a college football legend in real life, too. He attended the prestigious Ivy League school Cornell, where he played running back, and while the school isn't necessarily known for its football prowess, Marinro put them on the map. In his 3 years at Cornell, Marinro set 16 NCAA rushing records, 4 of which still stand today, and he even graduated as the NCAA's all-time leading rusher after he became the first player in college football history to rush for over 4,000 career yards. As a senior, Marinro came in second in Heisman voting, but he took home the Maxwell Award and was named the UPI National Player of the Year in 1971. After leaving his mark at the college level, he was taken in the second round of the NFL draft by the Vikings. Unfortunately, his college success didn't transfer to the NFL, as in his 6-year pro career playing with the Vikings, Jets, and Seahawks, he only rushed for around 1,300 yards with 6 touchdowns on the ground and another 1,200 yards and 7 TDs receiving. Although his NFL career wasn't all he hoped it'd be, he still managed to play 6 seasons at the highest level and even played in 2 Super Bowls while with the Vikings. If you want to hear more about Marinro, I did a separate video on him previously, so be sure to check that out. Link is in the bio. Because of their size and natural athleticism, it's no surprise that some former football players transition their skill set to pro wrestling. Plenty of football players have made the switch, but I'll quickly name a few that have played at the highest level. Before joining the world of pro wrestling, Roman Reigns, whose real name is Joe Anoa'i, used his large stature and athletic ability to his advantage on the football field. He excelled as a defensive tackle at Georgia Tech, and in his senior year in 2006, he even earned first-team All-ACC honors. But surprisingly, he went undrafted to the NFL in 2007, but he was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Vikings. However, during the team's physical, it was found that he had leukemia and they released him. He then briefly signed with the Jaguars, but due to the same reasoning, he was cut. Once he was back in good health, he joined the Edmonton Eskimos of the CFL for 1 season in 2008 before pursuing wrestling. Then there's Bill Goldberg. Before he was terrorizing people in the ring, he was wreaking havoc on the gridiron. Goldberg took his 6'4", 270-pound frame to the University of Georgia, where he played D-tackle from 1986 to 1989. After being named team captain as a senior in 1989, Goldberg led the Bulldogs in tackles with 121 on his way to first-team All-SEC honors. He ended his college career with 348 total tackles, which ranks him 9th all-time in school history. As a 2-time All-Conference selection, Goldberg was a solid pro prospect, and he was picked in the 11th round of the NFL Draft by the Rams. Unfortunately, his career was limited due to injuries, but overall, he spent time with the Rams, Falcons, and Panthers of the NFL, and as well as time in the CFL and World Football League between 1990 and 1995. The last of the pro wrestlers is Brock Lesnar, but his path to the NFL is a little different than the others, as he never actually played college football. After establishing himself as a legend in the ring, he earned a tryout as a defensive lineman with the Minnesota Vikings. However, Lesnar's time in the NFL was short-lived and he was cut in the preseason. Major 9 is a rapper and producer who's worked with big names in the music industry such as Rick Ross. But before he was working in the studio, he was grinding it out on the football field with the Miami Hurricanes and Cleveland Browns. His real name is Chad Thomas, and he was a highly touted recruit who chose to attend the University of Miami as a defensive end. And after a solid career with the Hurricanes, he was actually taken in the 3rd round of the NFL draft by the Browns in 2018. His career started off promising in Cleveland, but after only 2 seasons with the team, he was let go and he was never signed by another team. So following this, he decided to pursue his career in music full-time. Grammy award-winning singer and songwriter Mike Reed may not be a household name today, but he's left a lasting mark on both the music industry and in the world of football. Before he was winning Grammys, he was a 2-time All-American D tackle at Penn State, and he won both the Outland Trophy and Maxwell Award as a senior. Along with this, he helped Penn State accomplish consecutive undefeated seasons in his junior and senior years, and he was then drafted 7th overall in 1970 by the Bengals. He spent 5 solid years in Cincinnati before a string of injuries pushed his interest more towards music, but in those 5 years, he was a 2-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro selection in 1972 and 73. Although it was an unofficial stat at the time, Reed retired as the Bengals' career sack leader with 49, and this landed him a spot on both the Bengals' 40th and 50th anniversary teams, and he's also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. And saving the best for last is Merlin Olsen, who's actually probably more known for his days on the football field than his days behind the screen. Later known as a TV star, Olsen starred in over 100 different productions, as well as 50 episodes of the famous show Little House on the Prairie. But before all this, he blazed a Hall of Fame football career. Olsen spent his college years at Utah State from 1959 to 1961 and was twice named All-American as a D tackle and even won the Outland Trophy. He was then selected 2nd overall by the Rams in the 1962 NFL Draft and played with the team through 1976. Over that time, he racked up 14 Pro Bowl appearances and landed himself on the 1960s and 70s All-Decade teams, as well as on both the NFL's 75th and 100th anniversary teams. Ultimately, Olsen was inducted to both the College and Pro Football Hall of Fames, and he actually started his acting career while he was still playing with the Rams. Did you know any of these celebrities played professional football? Let me know who you were most surprised to hear about in the comments below. But until next time, get set because I'll have another video coming soon.